Hey, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another review. There's another paid request, this time for Alex. Thank you so much for that. And for those interested in requesting any type of videos, topics, randomness, out of the blueness, reviews, commentaries, whatever, feel free to send them either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. And this is for a 1997 film called Wild America, starring Scott Bairstow, Devon Sawa, and Jonathan Taylor Thomas. Devon Sawa, he was in Idle Hands, Final Destination 1, among others. Jonathan Taylor Thomas, he was one of the kids on the TV show Home Improvement with Tim Allen. And he would go to star in some of his own films like Man of the House with Chevy Chase, among others. All three do fine as brothers who, in the 1960s, the two older brothers, they loved making movies, either dealing with stunt work or dealing with animals, and usually they let their, or they make their little brother, Jonathan Taylor Thomas, which goes, I'm going to say JTT for short, they get him involved in this stuff. In a way, they're doing their version of Jackass. That's what it seemed like, just doing their own version, where, for example, they drop JTT into a pool, then they throw firecrackers in it. There's another scene later on where they drag him. They're driving a go-kart in the mud, and they're dragging him along on like a sled. And then when they take these movies that they film, they put on a projector screen. At least that you're able to in the 1960s. Now, the film was directed by William Deere, and I recognize that name because he directed Harriet the Hendersons, which is a film I love. He also directed If Looks Could Kill, which I thought was a fun escapism teen spy movie with Richard Grieco. I had fun with that one. I don't think it's on Blu-ray. I think the DVD is like a Warner Archive thing. Anyway, it's based on the people, some of them would go on to create Wild America, these other nature programs that would be on TV. How truthful this is, I don't know. I could be wrong, but I think only one of the three brothers was involved. I could be wrong on that. Long story short, there's a little bit of get to know their family. They have a mom who's loving, and they have animals all around. They have a dad who's a mechanic. JTT, the youngest brother, works with the dad on a plane. It's about how one day they'll fly this plane. The dad is actually played by Jamie Sheridan, the guy who was the bad guy in the original The Stand, the miniseries from the 90s. He plays the dad. Pretty much one day, Scott Bairstow, the oldest brother, gets the idea of wanting first to get this spiffy camera and go around and film animals before they're gone, or before this species is gone, and who knows, and film themselves in these extravagant circumstances. They're finally able to do it. And when the movie gets into a decent gear, is the three kids going off from A to B to C filming this crazy stuff. That's what it comes into play, because you get more of that fun adventure quality to it. The three kids, I thought, worked fairly well with each other. And this is the day and age of doing stuff for real, on camera. Sometimes there's a iffy practical effect, but there's a lot of real animal usage. Real bald eagles, real moose, younger moose and an adult one that's rampaging through. Wild horses going past while the three hide in their vehicle. They're in a den of bears. Some of them are fake, but some of them are actual real bears. There's a moment where they face a gator. That's when the movie comes to a great fruition. And again, nostalgic for that time, because nowadays, I mean, look at that Harrison Ford film called The Wild, where the entire film was a CGI dog. And that's a dog. That's not a wild animal. It's a dog that they had to fucking CGI for the entire movie. So it's like, we don't want to use a lot of real animals because we think that we'll hurt them. Then you don't hurt them. Well, we think that they're this, and that. you're not hurting them if you're just shooting, and there's animal trainers and there's people that don't do their jobs if they're doing it right. But, you know, a film like this, which was a lower budgeted film, they were able to utilize a good number of actual animals. And like I said, sometimes there's a practical effect, like when, like I said, in the Den of Bears, there's there's one crawling after JTT. That is a fake. Very easily a fake. But that still has more of a charm to me than if it was just a CGI bear. Because at least, even if the effect is iffy, there's still that physical realm of they're in the same shot, they're in the same physical presence with each other, so I'm not as taken out of the movie. If it was just a crappy looking CG where it's not moving right and it's rubbery or whatever, then I'm just taken much more quickly out of the movie. There's some decent songs on the soundtrack: Born to Be Wild, Magic Carpet Ride. There are issues, though, that I have with it. Because at the end of the day, I thought the film was okay. And just okay. Here's my issues with the film. Number one, it's much more developed on the third youngest brother, Jonathan Taylor Thomas. Maybe because he was more of a teen idol at the time. Maybe because of the three at the time, JTT was more success with Home Improvement. Because he gets a narration. He gets actual character, like with him and the dad. And the plane, the flying, all that stuff. The other two don't really give much, which is funny because those are the two that will grow up to be much more successful. You know, one would help create Wild America, one would win Emmys and do like nature documentaries or something to that effect. But Scott Bairstow and Devon Sawa don't really have a lot of development. Scott Bairstow, he's the oldest brother, he loves to film, and he comes off as a dickhead. Because he's more interested in filming than more important stuff. And very driven. Devon Sawa, he likes girls. He likes women. That's really all you get of the development of that. And I think a lot more could have been done with those two to beef up their roles. Because they feel kind of one-dimensional. I like the actors, it just, there's not a whole lot done with them. I think there is time and room that you could have built up those two much more effectively. That's number one. Number two, sometimes it doesn't know if it wants to be a juvenile kids film or this adventure movie where there's real danger. That's where the movie, I think, works the best. If you took these three kids, go on an adventure that's fairly serious, and you can have some fun banter with the kids, but because there are times where, okay, for example, to get back on his brothers, he does canteens and he puts water from the stream, but it's the same stream that the two older brothers are pissing in. Then he gives the canteens to them, and of course they're drinking, unbeknownst to them, a little bit of piss. And then you get this like goofy music of the score underneath, as if it was something for, I don't know, the Disney Channel or sort. Or their father is working on a plane, because he's a mechanic, and he sings this song about, oh, and the plains in the Mountain Dew. And then he lifts his leg and farts. Now, I don't know if he actually farts or he does a... But what we're seeing, he lifts his leg and you hear a fart sound. And then that comes into play later in the film where the three kids are in the bear den, where there's like 10, 15 bears, and they start singing that song. And then somehow that makes the bears sleep to a lullaby. And all three kids lift and they all go, again, whether with their mouth or their ass, whichever hole it was a hole going. I'm going, really? Did we need this shit? Do we need this in the movie? Really? Based on a true story. Yeah, I have a high doubt that three kids are actually saying to a bunch of fucking wannabe Winnie the Poohs for them to go the fuck to sleep and then did a with all three. Like, give me a break. Bring me up a piece of that fucking Kit Kat bar you're smoking if you think that's what really happened. Come on, man. What the fuck? You didn't need that shit. So I think that's mistake number 2. Is falling into those... I don't know if they just thought, well, it's a kid's film, so we gotta do this shit. No, you don't. You really don't. And number 3, the last 30 minutes were not even needed. Because it's called Wild America. It's about these kids dealing with these animals and the adventures, ups and downs they're going through. Now, when you get to the den of bears and they manage to escape by the skin of their teeth, and oh my God, you made it, I'm glad we're all alive, we appreciate life more, appreciate the brotherhood more, they're going home. And I'm looking at the running time, there's like 30 minutes left of the movie. I'm like, this seems like the pinnacle. This seems like you're at the height. You're just in a den of bears. Where's it going to go? All the way down. The last 30 minutes feels like a sequel. That's more of just a family drama. It's like, Wild America, here it is. Now, here's a 30-minute family sequel. Drama where JTT finds out his dad really wasn't a mechanic. I mean, he wasn't really a pilot. He was just a mechanic. He never really flew a plane. And he had lied to the youngest son that he ever flew a plane. And so the son's disheartened about that. And then the father gets into a truck accident. And he's in the hospital. And they need the money. And then Scott Bairstow, well, I guess I won't be a filmmaker. I gotta do this shit. And doesn't want to edit the film they made. And then JTT pokes at him to get the film edited. And then JTT says, screw it, I'm going to steal the plane, I'm going to fly it. If Dad was too afraid to fly, I'm not going to be afraid to fly. And Tracy Walter, that's an actor who was Conan's sidekick in Conan the Destroyer. He was Bob, Joker's assistant, Jack Nicholson's assistant, his buddy, kind of buddy, his associate in Batman, the 1989 one. Tracy Walter's been in quite a bit of stuff. He was in City Slickers as the cook. He was in Drive with Mark Dacascos. He's in the plane trying to stop JTT and then finally just letting him do his thing. I'm sitting there going, I guess this is employed to make it more of a story of these characters, but I didn't really care. I didn't really care because you kind of got the movie you're looking for if you think of Wild America, them exploring and dealing with all these animals. And now there's just this boring family drama that I don't give a fuck if you got lied to, kid. Your dad's a lying sack of shit. Welcome to the real world. I know what you want me to say. That's why I want to say JTT good, okay? I guess is also, hey, I wasn't afraid and I flew. So Dad, you're in the hospital. Don't let these guys, don't stop them from their dreams because you're afraid to do yours. Because you didn't fly, you just became, don't get in the way of their dreams. And I'm sitting there going, it just wasn't that exciting. Like, we go from almost attacked by gators to deal with a whole den of bears and all the jazz, and the big pinnacle finale is Jonathan Taylor Thomas flying a plane where there's no suspense, no excitement. He just flew the plane and Dad saw it from his hospital bed and hip hip fucking hooray. There's other notable people. Danny Glover has a small part. He's in it for like 5 minutes. Because there's a point where Jonathan Taylor Thomas is on top of a moose and he falls into the water. Or at least he does. He falls to the water. And Danny Glover helps him out. And then he talks a little bit around a campfire with them. Sadly not in the film much. Which is a waste because Danny Glover's a good actor. Another guy I recognized was this kind of asshole bully character who the kids know. His name is Zach Ward. That's the guy who's the star of Postal, the Uwe Boll film. He was also in Freddy vs. Jason. You remember Freddy vs. Jason, the one guy Freddy killed, and that guy had nightmares of his brother dying in a bathtub? The guy who died in the bathtub, that's Zach Ward as well. You know, he's there for a bit. He's here for a couple scenes. I'm trying to think. Yeah, I mean, if you had... You could cut out the whole plane not flying bit, and you could just have the dad be, oh, this is ridiculous, I don't buy into this, and then there's going to be a showing, and the dad won't come. The dad won't come. And they're upset about it, but they don't want to edit anyway. And then Jonathan Taylor Thomas just has a simple conversation with the dad. Says they're together working on the plane. Just come and see it. Give them a chance. You want people to give you a chance, give them a chance. And then the dad sees it, he claps, all that stuff. You could have done that much more simply. You could have done that within less than 10 minutes. Instead of additional 30 minutes. It just, after the bear scene, the movie's just done. And nothing else will level to that excitement or thrills or whatever you want to put it. So I just... Let's put it this way. There are filmmakers that talk about Rocky. And you look at the ending of Rocky. And Rocky, Adrian, I love you. They hug. And by the pinnacle, boom, it stops. Freeze frame. Music. Da, 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 da. Fade out. You stop it there because you go on any longer, then the movie's going down, going up. Imagine a roller coaster. You're going up, you're going up, you go up. Stop it there. Then afterward, you're just going down and down and down and down until, if you keep doing it, it just peters out. And I think that's what this film kind of did. Still an okay film. If you like the three teen actors, they did fine in their roles. The usage of real animals and little bits of stunts. And then sometimes a bit off-kilter. Like there's a bit where these planes are bombing the area. And there's a bit where the kids are like over here. And the same shot, you have this big mound over here, and it explodes. I could be wrong, but it seems as if the kids are moving in normal motion, but this explodes in slow motion. I'm sure that's done for the safety, because they don't want kids near real explosions. Ever since the Twilight Zone, the movie tragedy from '83 or so. I can understand that, but so they filmed this piece, then they filmed this piece, and they put them together in one shot. But it does look like the three kids are moving in normal motion. But then this explodes because the debris looks like it's going in slow motion as it explodes. And I'm like, well, why don't you just have the kids in slow motion too? Or just have the explosion in normal motion. Like, just have one or the other. Not slow and then normal. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I was watching it and I mistook something, but that's what it seemed like. I mean, granted, the scene goes by fast, people may not notice, but I'm like, wait a minute, what the fuck? That's just how I viewed it. But with that said, it's an okay film. I think there was potential for it to be more. So with that said, thanks for watching, take care, we'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.